Okay, so what we're going to look at today, we're going to be back to looking at hip roofs a little bit. I need to retape this one a little bit, it looks like. We're looking at angles on this hip roof and how things come together. You can see I've got some lines drawn on here. We're going to look at, I'm going to try to sketch it out so that we don't have to be looking at the model on the camera. Oh, it's falling apart. So we'll see how my artistic talents fare here. Close enough. So here's what we're looking at. Let's say that this is a 7/12 slope, conventional hip. Actually, you know what? That's no fun. We'll do a 7/12 slope there and a 10/12 slope over here. On a 42-foot span. Some things I'm going to ask you to find. J, which is always that top chord height. S, which is going to be the setback. Well, we find that dimension. And let's find those first, and then we'll throw some other ones in there as we go. Let's find J. How do we find J? You guys tell me how to find J. It's probably just a common, right? What do I know about it? Okay, it's 42-foot span, so yes. Half of it's 21. 7/12 slope, right? 10/12's on the hip roof side. So, suppose I could find the height here. How do I find the height? So 7 times 21 is 147. Divided by 12 is 12.25, correct? Does that work out? We're going to save that measurement because we're going to need it in a little bit. How do I find J now? Square root of 12.25 squared plus 21 squared, which gives us 24.312. I'm going to leave that as a decimal for now. Because I'm assuming you guys know how to change it back to feet, inches, and sixteenths. Now, I'm going to go to finding, so I found this piece. I'm going to try to find this piece next. To find this piece, I've got a totally different triangle I'm going to look at. It's going to look like this. What all do I know about that triangle? I know the slope is what? 10/12. Anything else I know about it? The height's 12.25. The height has to be the same no matter what direction you're coming from, right? They both come at the same peak. That peak is 12.25 feet up. So yeah, this down here is going to equal the setback. 10 over 12 to 12.25 over S. If you cross multiply and divide there, you get that S is 14.7 feet. Yes? So we got the setback. I can find this length here from what? Perfect, and that becomes what? So 19.135 we'll call it. So I've got those three all figured out. Got my setback, I got both, I got my common rafter, and I got my longest jack. Next, how do I find that length? I have two options here. Let's explore both of them. I have this triangle here. Should be 19.135 and 21, right? So that would make this the square root of 19.135 squared plus 21 squared. Tell me what you get there. .03, go 3 decimal places. 030, okay. Or I could have come at it from this side. Well, this would be 14.7 here. This would be 24.312 here. So then it would be the square root of 14.7 squared plus 24.321. 24.312 squared, which is, so something's off there, isn't it? I'm guessing it's here. This 21 looks off. You said that was what, 28.412? Let's look at this side over here. We got 19.135 squared plus, what was it, 21 squared? That is also 28.410. 28.411 actually, it looks like, feet. So within a couple hundredths of a foot. That's just round off errors. So this is 28.411, 28.412 is that length. Make sense? Okay. Now I want to find, where is that? I want to find this length here. I'm going to call that M. I want to find this length here. I'm going to call that N, given that this is 9 feet. I'm going to start by finding M, because I have that one dimension there. It gives me this little triangle. It looks like this. This is M, bless you, and this is 9. Are there any triangles here that have to be similar to that? Look at this one here, right? N is not necessarily similar to it. It's a different slope. But this big one here. So the 19.135 and the 21. So how are we going to find M? Yeah, that'll work. Cross multiply and divide, what do you get? .200 works for me. Feet. So that's M. To find N, we've got to use kind of a little bit of an obscure thing here. the relationship between this piece and M will be the same as the relationship between this piece and N. Because they meet at the peak here in the same spot. Does that make sense? So 19.135 over M, I'll put it right here, where M is 8.200, is going to equal the 24.312 here over N. That's what do you get for N. Now, first of all, does N have to be bigger or smaller than 8.2? Bigger. Because the number on top here is bigger. Right? So cross multiply and divide. What do you get? $10.41825, you say? 852, so 10.419 feet. What do you think? Not so bad? Yeah, it's really the hip roof calculations. It's really similar to that. So, in your big packet that you've done, that I know that you are all totally finished up through problem 79 right now.
You know it.
I want you guys to spend a little time right now working on problems 83, 84, and 85, and 86. So I'll give you a little time to work on those. I'm going to pause this. We'll come back and look at some more stuff yet as we need to. But as you're working on them and questions come up, ask them and we'll go over them. I figured I'd be nice and we'd step through number 85 here. What 85 is kind of a clipped roof. You've seen them before where it's a gable end. Rather than go to the full gable end, they clip the corner off like this, so it's like a little partial hip.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a regular hip goes all the way down. So you get a little clipped corner on the roof. Usually it's either the last 2 feet or 4 feet. Last couple, 1 or 2 truss spans. So, given this information here, this is, like I said, number 85 in your packet, so you can fill her in. We need to find J, R, Z, X, and Y. I'm going to start by finding J. How do I find J? The common is still a triangle. What do we know about this triangle?
28.
28-foot span.
And
612. So finding the height here, of course, is a 14-foot span. 6 over 12 equals h over 14. So you can give us h of what? 7. So j here, square root of 7 squared was 14 squared. $15.652. So 15.652 feet. Then what?
Square root it. Square root 14 and 7. And
I did that, yeah.
oh, whoops. I am.
That does. That's okay.
What?
We know that this distance is given here is 11 foot 2 3/16. So let's convert 11 foot 2 3/16 back into decimal feet. So I'm going to start out with the 3/16. Just 3 divided by 16 is 0.1875 inches. I'm going to add my 2 whole inches to that. So the 2 3/16 is 2.1875 inches. What do I have to do to convert that into feet? Divide by 12. So 0.1823 feet plus the 11 That's 11.1823. That's 11.1823 feet. There. So what that means, so I'm looking at R here on the roof. I know I'm going to pull that triangle out that I just drew. This is R right here. This dimension here is going to be the difference between the 15,652 and the 11,182. I'm going to drop the 3. Just going to make it 11,182. So we subtract those. It's 4.417, or 4.470, I should say, right? So that's 4.470 there. What does that tell us? Well, if I look at this side of that, I'm going to pull this out and look at it from this end. That forms a triangle. Again, this is the hypotenuse. I'm doing my triangle back into the roof now. This is 4.470 here, and this is a 612 slope. So I can find this height here. I'm going to call this HA because it's a little bit different height. So my 6 over 12 equals HA over 4.470. HA is going to be a height of 2.235 feet. What did I do wrong there? .470 is not the bottom of that. That's not the run, is it? I need the bottom of it. It ain't gonna work. I'm gonna show you a little trick here. A neat little trick. My slope is 612, right? I'm going to draw my slope like this, where this is 6 and this is 12. Rise of 6, run of 12. The hypotenuse of that triangle is going to be square root of 12 squared plus 6 squared, right? That sounds right. 13.416, you're correct. Now I'm going to compare that to this triangle. So I have the 4.470 compares to the 13.416 as HA compares to the 6 over here. If I cross multiply and divide, what do I get for Ha? .999. So that's 1.999 feet. How about for down here? We're going to do the same setup. 4.470 over 13.416 equals that over 12. I cross multiply and divide. 3.998. That 3.998 going to be halfway across here, by the way. Does that make sense? So that means Y is how much? 7.996 feet is Y. Z has to equal R. Or not R. Z has to equal the 4. 470. Z here is equal to this distance here because there's the same slope. R is then found. This depth here is going to be the same as the 3.998. So R is going to be found by doing the square root of 3.998 squared plus 4.47 squared. Does that make sense? Yep, 5.997. So R is 5.997. There's all the essentials. X can be found. You just take the 28, subtract Y from it, and then divide it by 2. Well, Y is basically 8 feet, so that means X is going to be about 10 feet. 10.002 to be exact on each side. You subtract Y from the 28 and divide it by 2 to split it up. X is just that much on each side. So what do you think? Visualization there is really a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah.
If anybody wants extra credit, talk to me. Because if I could get you to build some models of these things in the shop and build them like kind of like my hip roof models where they're wire framed like that, where they just got little outside frames where I can actually show the pieces together in there, I'd be willing to give some pretty big extra credit for that. Yeah, I got all sorts of different ones. If you're interested, come talk to me. I'll tell you which ones I want.
Well, he never said that. He said that.
Okay, so still those 4 problems, 83, 84, 85, and 86 I want done for Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're going to do fascia matches, which are 80, 81, and 82. Then there'll be a quiz you'll get to take home with you Tuesday. Thursday will be a unit test next week.